Hello, folks. Welcome to another lunch COVID-19 webinar given by Levine Electronics and Electrics. Today, we are very lucky to have the global product manager or global market manager for food and beverage from Danfoss, Renee Grinow. Is that how you pronounce it?
Grifno, yes.
Grifnow. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Somebody snuck an F in there on me.
No worries.
And so Renee has got some wonderful things to share with us. Danfoss is a global leader in the food and beverage market. There's lots of innovation that has been done in the last few years, and can't wait for Renee to share this with us. Thank you for joining.
Thank you. Can I start?
Yes, please.
Okay, I hope everyone sees my presentation. Thanks a lot for the invitation. It's a pleasure for me to speak to you in the US today. Of course, I want to start with the presentation. I will give you a short overview. Today we will speak about what possibilities do you have to increase your productivity in food and beverage. And now let me start with the first slide. I will give you a short introduction of Danfoss. I will also give you an introduction about the VLTFlexConcept. What does it mean? What is behind this FlexConcept? And we'll also give you a best practice cases from the US, also from the global world where we have successfully implemented this. And at the end, we have maybe some time for Q&A. Before I start, I give you a short overview. The Danfoss Global F&B drives. On the website, you see Mr. Fred Kreider. He's my direct contact in the US. He's located there and he's responsible for the US market. On the right side, that's me. I'm responsible for the global key account management for food, beverage, and also the packaging and chemical industry. And with my team and globally with the local colleagues, we are in charge of the dedicated and important global key accounts. First, I will give you a very, very short overview about the Danfoss drives. What is behind Danfoss drives? I think one thing is important. Danfoss was the first supplier who has built frequency drive 60 years ago, and in this year we have built only 6 drives. And today we have delivered more than 25 million drives. And from a market view, from the beverage industry, Danfoss is one of the leading companies. We have globally a market share of approximately 30% in this important area. We have a global presence. This means we are in every country of the world. This is also very important because the global end customers and also the OEMs are working and operating worldwide. What I mentioned, the first drive was built 1968, and now we have we build up to 2.5 million drives per year. And the power range is from the small one up to 5-6 megawatt. We cover all the ranges which is available and needed in this markets, food, bev, and also chemical. What is also very important is that we have a global network. What you here see is only a short overview where our colleagues are. We have in every country local sales force and also stock and aftermarket service. If you have people look in the US market in NAM, we have also a huge sales force, and what is very important, we have their stocks plus production sites. In the northeast part, close to Chicago, we have our high power production. This means we produce their drives which are higher than 90 kilowatts. Here only to give you a short overview about the application, which you can find in this food and beverage and packaging market, and where you can find also our drives. This is from the top, pumps, fans, compressors, and the other things, also wastewater applications will be also find in the breweries and food plants. And for all kind of these applications, we have product and also different product series. For example, the FD202 is a so-called aqua drive. This is a dedicated product for fans and also pumps. What is very important to say is the Danfoss DNA. This is a part what I want to explain, I must explain, because we from Danfoss, our products, this is very important to know, we are motor and system independent. This is also what we received from the customer feedback, that this gives end customers the flexibility. This means the flexibility to PLCs, but also the flexibility to motors. This is very easy, and we call this also user-friendly. This is very important for us that the customer receives the product, in this case, a drive, which is very easy because we deliver our products globally, and you have different countries, and you have in the different guys on a completely different technical level, and our aim is to deliver a product which is very, very easy to do for the end customer. What is also very important is what you here see, secure the technical requirements of the future. What does it mean? I think it's also in the US target to reduce CO2, to reduce energy, and this means that the motor becomes more and more efficient. And I know from Mexico that the government thinks about to increase the cosinus speed for motors from 0.9 to 0.95. And if you have a Danfoss drive, our drives are ready to cover these needs in the future. And this is also very important to give the end customers the flexibility. What you also see is you're reducing the spare parts, the complexity. It's also what I mentioned. Energy optimization is key on the end customer level, because they are measured by the energy consumption, and also they can earn money if they have a lower CO2 footprint, and also if they reduce their water consumption. What is also very interesting, and this is also what we see through the COVID-19, is the predictive preventive maintenance and condition-based monitoring. And I will give you an example later in the presentation. But what I will say here is the condition-based monitoring. What we have in our drives is in the drives. This means you don't need an external sensor. And I heard from a global food customer today that he's very interested to increase more condition-based monitoring in combination with remote monitoring functions, what we also deliver, because right now he must secure his maintenance stuff. And a lot of the maintenance stuff work also from, we call it here in Germany, from home office. And with this new function, condition-based monitoring in combination with remote monitoring, the maintenance guys are able to observe critical drives or applications via IoT or via cloud. And this is also possible with our drives today. Now I will go a little bit deeper. You really control your process. You see typical applications, in this case in the beverage plants, you have filler, you have compressors, fans, washing machine, pumps. Today I will have the focus on conveyor solutions. And this is what I mentioned at the beginning. I would like to talk about the VLTFlexConcept. What does it mean? The VLTFlexConcept is a solution. We don't talk about products. On the one side, we have a gear motor. This is what you see there, the white one. And on the right side, we have the conveyor, the drive. And the combination of this gear motor plus a drive, you see on the top drive what is maybe for for central solutions, and then you have on the bottom, I tried to use the laser pointer and it's easier for you. You have here the typical drive what is for a central solution, but you have also the flexibility to use this drive decentral. This means very close to the one gear drive. So you have other advantages. This depends on the region. We sell both, and some customers want to have only the decentral solution, others want to have a cabinet solution, but this depends on the end customer, and you have the flexibility. And all what you see parts, in this case, we have two different drives, and we have one gear drive. This is a very, very small, and you will see the advantages for stock reduction in the next slides. One plant, one system. This means you have here a typical overview how a filling line could look like. You have on the one side our products like for the conveyors, the gear motors, you have the decentralized drives, you have our ISDs. This is also in our portfolio, but this is more servo motor, and this is more an OEM business, but Danfoss has this in his portfolio. Then you have other drives. This could be an OEM, but it could be also an end customer if you have to an aftermarket service to replace it. And all the needed drives, servos, drives, conveyors, can you find in our portfolio. The FlexConcept. What our experience shows is that you can save a lot of energy. This depends on the installed base, and what you hear is 20 up to 75% depends on the old installed base. What you here see is a typical experience what we have done in the last 10, 12 years by typical retrofit projects and of replacement, and also of the measurement before we replaced this product. What you here see is that our FlexConcept has only 3 gear ratios. This means, I will explain it a little bit later, that you can save here a lot of stocks if you compare this with competitors. We have an example in the US, what I would like to show you, where the customer had 26 different ratios, and with our concept, he has only a spare part need of 3 ratios. Also very important, we are in food and bev. This means we talk about products what comes to the end customer, and there we need a very, very high quality. This means the end customer, the plant must clean their applications and their devices, and with our painting, the end customer has a huge spectrum of cleaning materials what he can use, like soda or alkali acids, and the pH spectrum is from 2 up to 12. This gives the end customer a very, very high flexibility. The total system efficiency from the OGD, the one gear drive, plus our drive, our frequency converter, is a little bit higher than 89%. This is one of the best solutions in the market, and this helps the customer at the end to earn energy and also to reduce his CO2, and of course to save money. And another aspect is that you have less oil change interval. This means 35,000 hours. If we compare this with competitor products, this depends on 5,000 to 8,000, and also the high bearing intervals are up to 3 times higher than compared with competitive products. What you here see is only to show you a small example how a decentralized solution looks like. You see here the conveyor system, and in this case you have here the FCD302, and here you see the one gear drive, and you see very close to the motor, and here is the central solution, and this is also one of huge USP, unique selling point of Danfoss. Our FC302 has a cable length up to 150 meters. And, if you compare this with local competitors, you will not find a solution who has also the 150 meter cable length. Also very important, which gives the end customer flexibility, is you can use it in different areas. We have on the one side wet areas. This means wet areas have a lot of humidity. You have water if you want to clean the applications there and the devices. And our products have minimum IP67, and the hygienic variants have a security of IP69. Means that you can clean it and water, and you will have no trouble that motor is burning because water is going inside. Then you can use it also in wet and dry areas where you have different environments. This is also very important because there you have other environments what could cause problems to other competitor products. And also for dry areas, for the packaging, you can use this product. Here you see some example of the hygienic version. What I mentioned before, you have painting which meets the requirement of the FDA, Food and Drug Administration, and the one-year drive was also the first product which receives the EHEDG certification. This is from Germany, and the EHEDG certification shows you that there is, after the cleaning, you will not find bacteria which could cause problems to your end product. And what you here see also is you don't see a fan. And I think this is also very important, because if you have a fan here, a fan produces air, and this air goes out. And if you have a contamination and you have here the bottles open, then you have a very, very high risk that if you have a problem with bacteria or whatever, then the fan blows the bacteria to your product or to your open bottles, which comes from the bottle wash machine. And then the end customer could get a problem, because if the product is a bacteria inside, you can't sell it, or if the customer opens the product and you find there mold or whatever, then the end customer could get reputation damage. Now I will go to the motor technologies that you get a short overview. What are the differences? What I mentioned at the beginning is that from the technical perspective, there is a higher need on very, very efficient motor technology globally, because you want to save energy, you want to reduce the CO2 consumption, and so on. And on the left side, you have the typical asynchronous motor, what is one of the most population in the industry today. And on the right side, you find the permanent magnetic motor. And we decided from Danfoss to use in the OGD only the PM motor, because it gives us a lot of advantages, what I want to explain here. On the one side, we have a very, very efficient motor. What you have seen 3 slides before, the high efficiency of the total system of up to 89%. One point is that we have here a high efficient motor. Very important is the torque. I mentioned also that we had, if you compare this with mechanical gears, that we have only 3 gears. We call this also electrical gearing, because you have with this PM motor from 0 up to 250 hertz, the complete torque of the whole range. And this helps us that we can cover with only 3 ratios, a lot of mechanical ratios. But I will show this to you in other slides, then I think it's easier to understand. Temperature is also very important. You have low thermal losses. Why is this important? because this is also an aspect what we find out as we developed this motor. You have the surface, and if you look from a biological perspective, then you have different bacteria in the brewer. And one criteria for growing of bacteria is the temperature and the pH. And at the end, you need for bacteria growing also water. And we find out by the designing development of the OGD, we set the operation point so that we have untypically surface temperature, what is not good for typical bacteria which we found in food and beverage industry, so that we have a temperature where does not have the environment for growing. And this is also very important why we decided for this PM motor technology. One of the disadvantages is that it could be more expensive in production if you buy or if you build a PM motor, and that is not be connected directly to the grid. But we solve this problem because you use our frequency converter. What you see here is the efficiency class. I think it was 2011 as the world changed from the old EFF norm to the IE, International Efficiency Class, and our OGD is E5. This means that it is today the highest efficiency class what you can find on the market. It is also called ultra premium efficiency. What do you see here? This curve shows you on the Y and on the X. On the Y is efficiency, on the X axis load. And what you here see is a typical conveyor. This is an average what is today in the market. And you see here also the typical efficiency on a PM motor with IE4 as a duty point. And our IE5 PM motor in the 1 gate drive is right now end on the curves. This means this is one of the best solutions what you can get today in the market. Variant reduction. This is what I mentioned before. What you here see, the difference is typical measurements what we found in the market 10 years ago, and the picture is today the same because you have a lot of old conveying lines, worldwide filling lines, and with our 1 gate drive with only 3 ratios, you see it here, the red curve, the pink curve, and the yellow curve. These are different ratios. We can cover 131 of this typical duty point what we have identified in the market. And with this knowledge, we developed this OGD, and yes, today's success gives us a ride because we saw a lot of OGDs worldwide, and it works, and the end customer is sufficient with this and satisfied with this solution. This is also what I mentioned before, that you reduce storage costs. Why do you reduce storage costs? I mentioned that we have only one mechanical dimension, and inside we have 2 different versions. You have maximum 3 ratio. This is what I also explained to you. And then you have the difference if you need it, the application with or without brake. From my experience, in 1 to maximum 2% of the cases, you need a brake in the plant. And what is also very important, I will show this to you in the next slide, is flexibility. With assembly, it's very easy. And also what we figured out is that we have 89%, 98% of the cases, the variant reduction in the stock because we have only 3 different ratios what is needed. What you here see is a comparison of the basic system, what was or were delivered in the past. You have here on the left side the basic system, what you find in typical conveyors is a warm gear, and you see if you have an old IE1 motor, you have only efficiency of 77%. If you have a standard inverter with 95%, then you have a total efficiency of only 51%. If you go to another system, what we also find a lot in the market is helical gear, maybe with an IE2 motor, then you have a total efficiency of 63%. Then you have the third system. This is also very seen often in the market, double gear. Then you have a total efficiency of 72%. What I mentioned of our system efficiency, you have the optimized bevel gear. You have a PM motor with a very high efficiency plus our drives, then you comes to 89%. And this helps the end customer a lot. Depends also on the region, how high are the costs for kilowatt hour. But here in Europe, prices are increasing very high in the last years. Here is a typical efficiency comparison. In this case, we measured a bottle line with a warm gear and an IE1 asynchronous motor. What you here see, this was, we talked about 100 bottles, 90 pieces with 0.5 kilowatt plus 10 pieces with 2.0. We speak about a total installed of 157 kilowatts. And the running time, the average running time was 4,500 hours per year. In this case, it was not so expensive. We talk about 0.12 kilowatt hours, and the total yearly energy cost was 84,000 euro. The next best alternative efficiency was 55%. And our OGD with 89% helps this customer first to save 53 kilowatt of installed base. He has an increasing of efficiency up to 34%. And at the end, he had a saving per year of close to 29,000 euros. And this was a very, very fantastic result for the customer. And what is also, I think, today more important than at this time was that he also saved a lot of CO2 tons per year. What is also very important, because we talk about products for people in food and beverage, is oil. Oil is not good if you find it in a beverage or in a food. And in this case, first we have oil what has the requirements for food and beverage application, but we have a pressureless design. This means you have no briefing valves necessary. It's very easy and it's closed. This is very important. And what I mentioned at the beginning, you have a very, very interval of 35,000 hours where you have to change this oil. This is a food grade oil. And if you compare this with our competitors' solutions, so we have between 5,000 and 8,000 hours, but depends on the competitor solutions. Cleanability. This is very, very important. This depends also on the application and also of the plant, what they produce. You have also a difference in beverage plants. For example, if you have a filler for bottles, or if you have a can bottler, a can filler. This make a difference, and we have the experience, for example, in a can production, that the motor who was very, very close to the filler was destroyed by the very aggressive chemicals approximately after 2 months. And since they changed the OGD and changed the gear motor and replaced it with our OGD, this is what I mentioned before. With the OGD, you have a very, very good painted surface, which gives the end customer, the production sites, the flexibility to use all the typical chemicals for cleaning and make sure that the cleaning level is on a high level. And so our painting is resistant from pH 2 up to 12. And this is a very critical point in the food and beverage application, that you make sure and can give the customer the guarantee that he has a good surface where no bacteria will grow. Challenges that be. Here, for example, you see how it typical looks like. You see here the ribs, the pan, and you see also the surface is destroyed. And this is, from my perspective, I'm not a typical electrical engineer because I studied brewing and life science. This means I have all the view from the biological view on it, and this means this kind of motor is not good for cleanability. And also what I have mentioned before, you have here a fan, and you see the bottles are not closed. What happens with the fan? What happens with the air which is blown into the whole filling line? If you have here contamination, then you have the contamination in the whole filling line. And another aspect is, we talk about wet area. This means you have a very high humidity, and where you have a high humidity, you have also, in the worst case, aerosols which blows with the fan in the whole room, and this increases the risk of a contamination of your product. And this is very important to keep in mind. Also, what I mentioned is aggressive cleaning. This means this kind of motors, you see here the surface is destroyed, and then it's a question, when will this motor have an accident or is falling out? And if this motor is falling out, you have an unplanned stop. And we calculated with an average, if you have an unplanned stop, I don't speak about loss of production, only an unplanned stop, we calculate with $2,500 per hour, because the production is in the most cases not lost, but you have people there who's being there, the engines or the machines are running, you need energy and so on, and then you have to fix and replace this motor. And also learning from Danfoss is with the OGD, you need only 20 minutes to replace this OGD. And also what I mentioned, with the OGD, you have only 3 ratios. So it's very easy to go to the stock. If you have one of these ratios on stock, change it, and it's very easy, 20 minutes. And I heard from some customers, if you have a very old motor, you have here corrosion on the shaft and so on, they need up to 2 hours to replace this kind of conveyor. Hygienic design, I talked about it, very important, the cleanability. The paint is FDR conformance, this is very important. Also what I mentioned here is the high spectrum of the pH from 2, this means acid, up to 12, this is the alkali area. And what is also very important, we have a non-polar surface. This means, you see it here, you will not find water there. Where you will find water, you will find bacteria, because bacteria need water to grow. Also, what I mentioned is the water protection. The minimum is IP67, and the hygienic variant is IP69K. Also very important, the smooth roughness means you have an RR smaller than 0.08 micrometer. This is also very important because then you will not find any dirt which is on the surface, because with the water it's gone away. Here you see what I mentioned before. In some solution, it is important that you have a brake. And also very important, there's also a typical question is, also the brake has a IP67 standard. This is our minimum standard. Another advantage is what you here see is...
Let me fucking kiss. Fuck
please?
that.
Oh, sorry. What you here see is also the mechanical brake as an option. It gives you the security of safe stop and halt in emergency case. Also, the safe for positioning. This means if you have a conveyor with where our products boxes are on, so that they are fixed if the energy turned off, so that you have not a risk for people who are working on this. Also very important, the brake voltage, because we deliver our products globally. This means we have the 180 volts DC, 220 or 400 volt AC or 480 volt AC. This is to cover the global needs in different countries. Also very important, this easy system. If you need, or if you have, for example, a buffer or accumulation tables, so what you here see, this means very, very slow speed, but a lot of load. And you see here 20 rows of bottles, and for this you need a high torque. And what you here see is called the extension box, and this is a very easy system. You have an OGD, and then you have only to add this extension box. This means you have not an additional pieces or devices, because you have the 3 ratios. And then you have only as an addition this extension box, and then you have the flexibility if you need this kind of high torque application for buffer or accumulation tables. What you here see is the flexibility of mounting. This means whatever you need in your filling line, you have different spaces, or you need different position. You can use the P1 and P3. This is what you here see. Or what you here see is also the P2. In this case, P1 is that OGD is horizontal, P3 is vertical. You see it here on the extension box. Or what you here see is the P3, then the terminal box is here on the close to the bottom. This is also what you gives higher flexibility, how you want to mount this. And this is also possible only with the 3 ratios. Other advantages is the terminal, the motor connection. You see it's via cage clamp technologies. This means it's very easy for you for commissioning. Also, what is very important, we talk about a conveyor application. This is vibration proof. And this is very important, so that you have not a problem during the operation and that the motor stops running. And I have to repeat it again. Also, this terminal box is in IP67. This is very important. Also, very important is I spoke about painting. We have here the white painting, and the terminal box is separately painted. So this means you have here the screws, and then you can close it, and then you have the IP67 protection. Also, the space requirements is also very important. What you here see are the dimensions. Here is a radius of only 74 millimeter. What you here see, this dimension is close to 200 millimeter, 20 centimeter. And then this means you have more space available on the floors where you have to move, or where the workers have to move, and this gives you also some benefits. Here, this is a short comparison of the competitor products, what we saw in the market. For example, is stainless steel, which looks like similar, but they are not painted because they are stainless steel. They have a higher white. Most of them have not the certificates, what I mentioned, the FDA and EHEG. Also, the surface roughness is better in our solution, and this is very important from a hygienic perspective. The painted color is white. I will explain to you why it's white and what is the reason for this. Very important is hydrophobic and hydrophilic. This means you will not find water on the OGD because the water runs down. The surface chemistry is resistance is also very important. I explained it from 2 to 12. Thermal expansion is very important. What does it mean? If the motor is running, it produces heat. If it produces heat, then the expansion. This means if you have a thermal expansion, it could cause a problem of oil leakage. And this is also what's important for Danfoss, that we reduce this and that you don't have oil leakage in a food or beverage plant. Ratios availability available is only 3, and our competitors, it depends on the competitor. What I mentioned before, the 26 in the US plant, and we have no fan. And now I would like to show you why we decided to have white painting. If you have seen mold, then you see it looks like gray, and on a white surface you will see mold. And if you go in the next time to a plant where there's a wet area, please use a paper towel if the production is running. If you go with this paper towel over stainless steel surface, you will see that this paper towel becomes wet because there is water. And on the stainless steel, if you compare the color of mold with stainless steel, you will not see if there is mold. And this is, from a hygienist perspective, a huge risk. This is the reason why we decided to use this white color. Here is a conclusion about all the things what I have explained to you about the VLTFlexConcept. VLTFlexConcept means you have the choose if you want to have a decentral or central drive. You have a 1-gear drive. This is our gear motor. The total efficiency is up to 89%. You have only 3 gear ratios, which helps the end customers to reduce the stocks. You have different options how you want to mount this gear motor, this OGD. You have a very long oil change interval. This means up to 35,000 hours. And this depends on the competitor, is between 2 and 4 times longer. You have no fan. This is very important, what I explained to you from a hygienic perspective. You have a minimum IP67 or IP69K protection. This helps us for cleaning and also for other aspects. You can have a hygienic version, EHEC certified, and this is also very important if you want to reduce the risk of contamination. And if you have a retrofit project where you will replace AC motors, and then it's also very easy if you use our drives to install the OGD, because our drives are able to handle AC motors or motors. Now I will show you some success stories from all of the world, but also with the focus in the US. What you here see is a Nestle water plant, what we have retrofitted in the past, and in this case, customer needs, they would like to fulfilling their global environmental aims, and in this case, we find out that if they will, or in this case, they had installed the OGD FlexConcept, that they saved a lot of energy and also at the end money. And what was also very important for them was that they had reduced their stock. And what we also have learned from them, they had the same issue like other customers in case of emergency when they had to replace gear motor. This was very easy and very fast with our OGD, because they needed also only 20 minutes. What you here see is FS Pilsen. This is a brewery in Europe, in the Czech Republic. And in this case, we measured the line with the old installation of the gear motors, and then we replaced the gear motors with an OGD. And in this case, we had energy saving up to 63%. And the payback time for installing the line was in only 10 months. And this was also a fantastic result for the end customer. And in this case, this was a very old filling line. This means you have a lot of installed base with other machines and applications. And for them, this was also a huge fit that they had less space what they needed. And another problem, you see it here, is a very wet environment, and also corrosion in the past caused some problems for them. The motors was burning as water comes in and so on. With the burning motor, they had a problem that they have an unplanned stop, and with unplanned stop, you have costs because the people can't produce and so on. We solved a lot of problems with this efficient product. Another thing what I would like to show here is a combination. This means in this case the customer does not only use our VLTFlexConcept because he thought about the combination with condition-based monitoring. What does it mean? This time, in this case, we talk about plant where they have approximately 192 hours a year, where in up to 6 filling lines where they had unplanned stops, and this is what we calculated with 2,500 euro per hour. And you see here very old systems, also with chains and so on. And it was very complicated for the maintenance personnel to change this. And we calculated 480,000 euro costs, which they reduced with installing by the VLTFlexConcept. And another reason was they comes from 4 hours to only 20 minutes with the VLTFlexConcept, with the OGD. But what was also very important for them was the chance, the advantage to use the condition-based monitoring. What is possible with our drive? This means what I mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, the Danfoss drives. We call this the drive is the sensor. This means our drive has the ability that you can see some important things. For example, if you have a motor, in this case not asynchronous motor, but if you have an asynchronous motor and you have there a problem in the winding, our drive will uncover this and give you an alarm. Or in this case, because they had very old chains on the conveyors, the load envelopes. This means if you have an increasing of the torque, and you set the parameters, give me a pre-warning if the torque is higher than 15% or 20% or whatever. You set the parameters. And this can also help you with the condition-based monitoring and gives you a real-time alarm or pre-warning. And in this case, if you talk about 2,500 euro per hour, 20 minutes is 30%, then we talk about 833 euros, what the customer can also save if he knows, okay, we have an issue on this conveyor because we have problems with the chain, and please let us plan maintenance in 2 days, for example, and then you don't have an unplanned stop. And here, what you here see is the conclusion that the customer increases the uptime. He has right now a very high efficiency, and he saves up to 500,000 euro per year. He has less energy consumption. He meets, or he has a step further to meet his CO2 goals. he needs less water for cleaning, and in this case we talk about 92 cubic meters per year. And he has a very, very huge advantage, and also under the conditions today, under the COVID-19, permanent monitoring versus the selective regular checks, because all the drives he is in his system, and with the CBM he can see it. And also stock reduction. This means we had 26 ratios in the past, and today we speak about only 3 ratios. What you here see is, are some examples what we have done in the US. On one side, you have here the Fairlife. This is part of the Coca-Cola company. They decided to use our drives and the OGDs. We speak about more than 300 installed devices. The customer is very happy with this. Then we had a case with Molson or Miller's in the US. They decided also to use our drives, and we also won a project in Canada this year where we will deliver more than 200 OGDs. And here, this is a cleansing project. This is although in the US we won the project this year too, and there we talk about more than 1,000 drives and OGD with Red Bull and another company installed there. And yeah, the customers knows us and they trust us. And the Red Bull, Coca-Cola, and also some Molson course, they used right now more than 12 years our devices, and they are very happy with this, and they did very good experience. And for the US market, we see a potential global perspective regarding to the production or the product capacity in the US. We talk about 220 million hectoliters under normal condition. I think with COVID-19 it's reduced up to 15%, but under normal conditions we see here a potential of up to or higher than 22,000 OGDs. Yes, this was from my side. I hope I can give you an overview about VLTFlexConcept, and if you have any questions, I will be here, and you will send me an email to my colleague Fred Kreider, and we can go deeper with you if you have some questions. Thanks a lot.
Folks, there is one poll question that is coming out, so you'll see that. Renee, you did such a good job. You're very well versed in the food and beverage market.
Thanks a lot.